Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Tyrone back with Tech Life. Here I have a great article for you guys from Phone Arena. I will leave a link to it in the description so you guys could check it out. So this is something that I pointed out in my video yesterday. T-Mobile versus Verizon versus AT&T speed test results. Everyone's slower now. So that is from Ookla. If you compare Ookla's Q1, the only one that had a decent increase was Verizon. They increased by like 1.2 megabits a second. Both AT&T and T-Mobile had a slowdown. Now, could this be the beginning for the cause for concern for T-Mobile? So I made that video a few days back, and the title was, "Are You Concerned?" And the reason I made that video, and I want to kind of do a follow-up in this video, is because T-Mobile remained relatively flat. They were at 220.70 in Q1, and now they're at like 220.3 or something like that. I don't know off the top, but they decreased a little in speed. Now, I did say yesterday that's impressive because they have the highest amount of 5G adoption in terms of devices on the network, and they have the highest usage going across that 5G network, and they're still the leader in median speed. Now, Verizon is going to catch up to that very quickly. I've been speaking with a few T-Mobile engineers. They tell me they're not concerned, but Verizon is activating and turning on the B block very quickly. So in some markets, even before AT&T vacates the A block, you're going to see A block at 60 and B block at 60. So you're going to see Verizon go to 120 within the next few days. Some of you may have already seen it. Some rural areas are already at 200. They're at 100 megahertz on the A block and 100 megahertz on the B block. That's where AT&T never cleared anything early, so Verizon had access to all the A block and the B block that they purchased. In some of the other additional clearing markets that Verizon paid to clear early, like El Paso, Tucson, a few others, Verizon started at the A block with 100 megahertz, and now that B block is coming on air, and some of those markets it's 60, in others it's 140. And then, of course, CBRS is also going to be transitioned and refarmed to NR. So in most cases, Verizon is going to be able to achieve close to 200 megahertz aggregated. And most of that is going to be contiguous on those blocks. Right, it's going to be tough for T-Mobile to combat. T-Mobile has a lot of fragmentation. They have a huge gap in El Paso fragmentation. And I'll be very honest, and I said this last night with a few buddies, Verizon took the speed lead. If you look at Ookla, OpenSignal, anything, even RootMetrics, Verizon is now the fastest in El Paso, Texas. And I'll be very honest in this video, T-Mobile does not take that back. There's no way. There's no way. Even with C-band and DoD, I would say that closes the gap for T-Mobile, but there's just too much contiguous spectrum for Verizon in this market. They go to 140. T-Mobile taps out at 80 megahertz right now. With C-band DoD, they might get to 140 as well, but that's kind of the max on the mid-band. They still have AWS, they still got PCS, so there's still some room to grow there, but Verizon go to 200 with CBRS. In some cases, they can go to 220, 240. Nobody else uses CBRS in this market. Nobody has it even deployed on the sites. So Verizon is going to be very vicious. They have millimeter wave in this market as well. They're adding CBRS to the small cells too. There's one fiber here, so that's 10 gig backhaul provisioning. It's just too much to handle, right? That there's a cap, and that's why T-Mobile purchased C-band DoD, so they have somewhat of a competitive product. But the peak speeds, the median speeds, I just don't see T-Mobile taking that back. T-Mobile would have to spend specific capital to scale and deploy additional infrastructure to take back that speed lead. And I don't see them doing that because they are very smart and very disciplined. If they're fast enough and they're continuing to grow, they can continue growing fixed wireless access, then why would they spend additional capital outside of that just to surpass Verizon on speed, right? So it's very basic and simple. I'm not trying to simplify it, but that's just how simple it is sometimes. Verizon will be the fastest. They don't have nearly as much market share as T-Mobile. They're about close to 20% behind T-Mobile. They have better density. They're spaced on based on AWS. They got small cells. They got more mid-band spectrum. So that's just how it is. Now, that's not every market. Of course, there's going to be some markets where T-Mobile is going to dominate, right? Where they have that 180 on N41. They got all the PCS, AWS. And then on top of that, they still have the C-band and DoD where that can get them to 250, 260, whatever on mid-band, right? Megahertz. And that's a lot. But some markets, relatively, actually quite a lot, T-Mobile can't get that much together because there's too much fragmentation and other parties own that N41. So is this perhaps the small alarm that's going off, like, hey, T-Mobile's not increasing speed? And on a national scale, once auction 108 clears, I understand that they will increase that speed again because there's going to be more spectrum that will be put on air. But keep in mind, there's going to be usage that's going to go onto that spectrum. It's not going to be empty. They're going to continue scaling the wireless postpaid side. They're going to continue getting fixed wireless access customers, which put a ton of usage on the network. So that should eventually balance out. And then T-Mobile should start, settling at that median speed. So make sure you guys stay tuned for more. Like, share, subscribe, follow my social media outlets. This is Tyrone with Tech Live. See y'all in the next one. Peace.